So I've sort of been contemplating the idea of selling out. Selling out, what does it mean? We have to define selling out as the topic at hand. To sell out, uh, it's to essentially give in to a certain idea at the cost of who you currently are, or who you're trying, or at the cost of who you're trying to be. So a good example could be on a basic level, if I'm part of a team that fights for freedom and the government approaches me and they're like, we'll give you $10 million, just come onto our side, I've essentially sold out. Now, on a basic level, there's nothing inherently wrong with selling out. And the reason why is that perhaps money is more important. So to you, selling out, your ideals don't really matter much if you can't really provide for yourself and your family, right? But at the same time, the idea here is that, and this is where we sort of get into like a metaphysical plane, an abstract plane. It's where the Christians tread quite confidently. I'm just kidding. It's where most religions, or it's what most religions sort of lean into. The idea is that, is life, wait. Is life not more than bread? Is bread not more than life? Something like that. Is life no more than, the funny thing is I've been saying this for the past 2 weeks and now I don't remember it. Is life no more than bread? Is bread no more, man cannot live on bread alone. Something like that. You see cross-culturally where there's some variant of that quote. I remember the Christian one because I was Christian for many years. But essentially, it's like life is more than just putting food into your stomach. Although I sort of disagree with the quote. The only way you could possibly think that is if you have the bread, right? It's an idea that Socrates was essentially arguing with this other guy about the true nature of justice, and then the guy said that the best justice you could do to yourself is to get rich, because then you're not in debt to anyone, indebted to anyone. You're not in debt with anyone. And he's not wrong in the sense of like a lot of the things we do, a lot of the selling out we do, harming people we do is because of we're broke, right? We want to get the bag. Whereas if we have money, it's like there's no need to sell out. The concept all of a sudden does not exist unless someone offers you something more. And in all honesty, what is more important than money, right? Now, of course, someone could answer the question, but then I'm just talking about from a general standpoint. So the whole idea behind selling out is that you're essentially compromising your ideals so that you can sort of live another day or increase the quality of your life. And we view it as wrong because if we grow so attached to our ideas to the point where our ideas are just a part of us. It's called the ego. And this is what I'm realizing now. A lot of times when you use these words, there's sort of like a bad connotation. So like when I say sell out, ego, there's a bad connotation. The words themselves are not bad. It's just how society paints them, right? Now, you could essentially make the assertion that, well, the words are bad because of at the extreme level you find it very detrimental. Sure, but at the extreme level of sticking, at the extreme level of the other pole, it also gets detrimental. So a good example is ego. If you have no ego, you get walked all over, right? Like everyone just walks all over you. The reason why is because if you have no backbone and you don't feel the need to have a backbone, everything is just the same to you. You're overall indifferent. Like you could give two fucks about literally anything on planet Earth, right? If you will never sell out for anything, you're probably gonna die starving at some point, right? Obviously, it depends on environments, etc., 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 blah blah blah. So, but that's not the point. That's just discussing the whole idea of selling out. The whole idea behind selling out is that we stick to ideals so much that we think they're the most important thing on planet Earth, to the point where we don't even consider the fact that they may be wrong, right? Because of, if we're wrong, no, not if we're wrong. If we decide to switch up, then we sold out. We've sold out, right? And it's because of, there's always this aspect of uncertainty. There's always this aspect of uncertainty where we're like, this might never work. Let me just give up. Or there's this aspect of uncertainty where you're like, what if I give up and then starts working, right? So it's almost like life is just one big gamble. And the reason it's one big gamble is because if you have biases, but then another major aspect of it is because if we can't really tell the future, like we don't know what's to come, right? We don't know all the factors that come into play, which creates this interesting thing, right? Because if you're 20 or whatever and you're like, should I do this? Should I do that? It's just that aspect of uncertainty, but then you also have your own sort of morals and ideals, and you haven't really had the time to test them, right? Perhaps you've had 3 years, but then 3 years is not enough data, right? And you think you can read about everything on planet Earth, but then the truth is everyone sort of has a different variation of life. So perhaps it works for some people and it doesn't work for others, and it's just because of everyone's different to some extent. So then you're stuck with this question that nobody can really answer for you, and the reason nobody can answer it for you is because of you know yourself and you know what you want, right? You're stuck with this question of, do I continue on this path or do I sell out, right? Because of selling out is not a term you'd apply to yourself. At least it's hard to apply to yourself, honestly. Just like how it's hard to call yourself virtuous without sort of sounding like an arrogant prick. But anyways, so it's like we sort of start to ask ourselves, okay, what do I want? The question is not, are you gonna sell out? The question is, what exactly do you want? And we don't understand that it's alright to not know what you want. You'll never know everything. I mean, if we all knew everything, life would be great, but the point is we don't. And the nature of everything is to make mistakes because of some factors are just out of your control, right? But at the same time, we're so uncomfortable making those mistakes, and it's because of we think that if we make this mistakes, it's game over. But how many times have we thought that and then we've come out on top, right? We've come out alive, right? Now it's a bit difficult to process because of at the same time you don't want to do something that will make you homeless. But that's the thing, you sort of have to accept the fact that some things, like I said, some things are out of your control. Like some things you can't really factor in, like the whole idea of you becoming homeless today out of like some catastrophic thing, maybe seemingly unideal, but the truth is it's out of your control, right? So you just have to sort of flow with it and then sort of trust that the best will happen, right? And perhaps you don't want to do certain things, perhaps you do want to sell out, even that's all right. But it's just a matter of understanding that at the end of the day, nothing's ever going to be ideal or perfect. Now, to answer the original question, do you sell out? Well, that question is sort of irrelevant because of the term selling out is usually a term that's applied to you by other people. I say just get to know yourself, and whether you sell out or not, which basically just means changing your ideals, compromising in some sense because you've found something better. If that happens, then it happens, right? You do need to be selfish to some extent,